Ladies and gentlemen, this is the episode for Adam King, the interview tonight. Check out this video.
Hey, coming in hot, holiday, I'm at the cop. Everything, anything up at the drop. Look what I got. This season, my reason, I'm achieving. Got all the holiday swag. Won't wanna have, keep dreaming. Hey, coming in hot, holiday, I'm at the cop. Everything, anything up at the drop. Look what I got. This season, my reason, I'm achieving. Got all the holiday swag. Won't wanna have, keep dreaming.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and the only Adam King is here tonight on the Buzz. Hey, what's up, Adam?
Hey,
how you doing, man? How's everything going?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Everything's going well.
Awesome, man. Good to hear, brother. Yeah, man. So it's really crazy because I reached out on Instagram probably like a month and a half ago, and then I got a message from you. Really dope. I'm really excited that you responded back to me, man. Really appreciate it. And we've been on this grind with challengers, OGs and currents and formers. And I had a goal to get you on here. I'm glad I got you on here. And man, I can't wait to dive in and talk about what's been going on with Adam King since the last time we saw you on Rivals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I got. It's tough with the Instagram stuff because I'm not the biggest, social media guy. So
right.
A lot of times it takes me a while to get through. One of my favorite comedians, a guy named Gary Goldman. I remember I reached out to him, and he actually wrote me back a couple of months later, but he did. So I try to follow, and it made such an impact on me. And I remember this was years ago, but so I try to do the same. Even if I can't get to it right now, I always try to at least plug along and get to people eventually, as long as they're cordial. Of course, I get a lot of ridiculous requests. So
yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Hey, man. So a really cool thing that we do here on the Buzz and through our platform that we have is we got a little bottom ticker for you. So 19 daily wins in your career, 2 and 3 elimination record, and you won $1,000 obviously from the Gauntlet, and you're a finalist on the Gauntlet 3.
Yeah.
So just a little highlight there for you, for everybody in our audiences, especially the new kids that come in and they think that Corey is an OG when he's not. It's really, back in the early 2000s, So
yeah.
No,
I've got some years. There's some miles on this body. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, those numbers, they don't jump off the page. I think for me, I was always the kind of person that went in trying to have a lot of fun. I was always competitive by nature. I played sports growing up: basketball, baseball, and football. I wasn't good if I went to Stanford and wasn't good enough. They have a squad there on the baseball team. That's what that was my main sport. But the thing about the challenges is the adrenaline you get from those experiences. I mean, they call it the fifth sport for a reason. You're competing, and it's intense, but it's difficult because the type of competition is really different because it's a lot of hurry up and wait. I'm sure you've heard this, right? So if you're playing a game or something, it's like you kind of get in the mode and the adrenaline pump goes and starts flowing, and you're excited about being there. And then you get to go and use it, right? Well, with the challenges, there's a lot of setting up. You have 30-minute, 45-minute breaks in between activities sometimes. So it's a lot. So imagine like you're sitting there just like ready to go, like it's elimination. Today is, you're competing for, at this point, $1 million on the current challenges. It's a lot of money to just sit around and just let that adrenaline just kind of like flow through you. So,
right.
Then that does affect performance on some of them. But, overall, that's what I miss in terms of those experiences. Having taken my hiatus from the challenges, I think about like the highlight of my experiences, and oftentimes it's that adrenaline pump that you really can't get it anywhere else. You get it in sports, but I mean, I think about it all the time. I think about what it's like, what it must be like to catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl or even just a regular NFL game and have 70,000 fans screaming for you. I mean, where else can you get that? I think about the gladiators back in the day, right? When they used to like fight to the death. I mean, that adrenaline pump was the same it's the same reaction. So I do miss that.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I definitely get where you're coming from too. And that makes a lot more sense because you got to wait. And then let's not even talk about like if it's like now today in challenge, but it happened during I think the rival season where you got to change harnesses, you got to wait for all the safety requirements for each person to get in. So that's a good way to bring it out. And I never looked at that point. Yeah, it is a lot of waiting time, man. And then you got to drive like 2 hours back to the house, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the drives. Yeah, it's funny. Like the most fun challenges are usually the ones that are the most simple. To be honest with you, when there's a huge apparatus and there's harnesses and all that, it looks cool, and initially you think, oh, this might be cool. But the most fun ones are like, we on Gauntlet 3, we had a mud pit that we had to do. All of us had to mop through there. I remember, oh God, we were making fun of them at the time because on Gauntlet 2, when we were in Trinidad and Tobago, we had one elimination in the Gauntlet where they literally just drew a circle in the sand and then they oiled us up and said, throw the other guy out. And I looked over at Ace at the time. I was like, all this money, and this is the challenge they come up with. Like, like we could do this in our backyard, man. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
and but I mean, it was one of the more popular ones because a bunch of oiled up. You're oiled up and you're fighting, you're throwing each other just basically out of a ring in the sand. So it's really popular. I think that one, and then back on Battle of the Sexes 2, we all had to melt this like block of ice. It was roughly the size of a Volkswagen. Yeah. And we had to do that in just Speedo, like guys and girls all just in our skivvies. So I still get asked about that all the time because it was like, remember you guys were melting that block of ice? I'm like, geez, that was 15 years ago, man. But yeah,
it's been a minute. Adam, I know people are going to tune in and want to talk about the challenge. I want to get a little bit more serious in our nation real quick. I've been starting this question off since the events has happened at the Capitol. What do you feel that as we can come together as a nation after everything that has occurred since the day when the Capitol was stormed, what can get us together as a nation again?
Man, it's a great question. From my perspective, and I've done a lot of traveling. In 2020, I was in LA, Seattle, both very very blue states, and I was in Kentucky, and I've been in Georgia, very red states. So Georgia's now blue, I guess, but and Arkansas, and what I have discerned from my experiences in these states is everybody has a different perspective based on kind of what you interact with on a daily basis. Yes, we have certain connectivity, right? We watch some of the same shows, but the difficulty, in my opinion, is that the different states need different things from our government, and we're at odds with that, and we're letting that bleed into our kind of our national identity, and it shouldn't. The big thing about this country in that right now is that we're leading in a number of areas, but tech is one of them. And we forget oftentimes that we're only as strong as we are because we piggyback each other on certain items, right? Like we don't all have just the agriculture or just the tech or just the finance. We're only as strong as we are because we have the other elements of it. And after 9/11, I know a lot of people are probably too young to remember what the 9/11 impact, but there was a sense of national pride. I mean, people were driving down the street with flags on their cars. I mean, it was like we were all supporting each other. Red state, blue state, it didn't matter. And unfortunately, this situation, I feel like it should be something similar, but it's not, because a large portion of our country feels a certain way because they were given misinformation. At least that's where I view it. And if we can all kind of get on the same page and realize that as much as we love social media and as much as we love salacious headlines, we need to kind of find a way to trust the media again in the proper way, right? So that we can also, instead of reading some, your crazy uncle's blog in his basement,
a meme.
Yeah, all that information. Let's trust the real news outlets, right? There's enough of them. There's probably 10 right now, like CNN, Fox News, NBC, ABC. I mean, there are enough accredited, real journalists out there, real sources of the truth that we can access, that we can all agree and hold them accountable for what they print and what they tell us. That we don't need to go searching for these, crazy claims and all of these conspiracy theories. I know people like them. They're exciting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we really need to do is understand that the amount of mistrust exists because we let it happen. And moving forward, just find a way to say, okay, look, these are the sources. This is what's really happening. And it starts at the top. I feel like when you can't trust, the people at the very top, then you can't trust anybody. At least you feel like you can't. And so it needs to come back to them getting along. When we watch our Congress get along, we watch them shake hands, when we watch them treat each other with respect, as opposed to yelling at each other, whether it's the left or the right. When we watch our top levels of government treat each other with respect, it will trickle down, and we will then start to treat each other with respect because we take our cues from them.
I agree. Great words, man. Great words. We've had some amazing responses to this question, and yours is on the top. I appreciate that. Thank you, man, so much. So let's get to your life, man. I learned today, because I'm an idiot and I didn't know this when we were texting each other, your dad was an R&B star. So I want to get into that a little bit later. But how was it growing up with a father like that, and what was your childhood like?
Well, it's interesting because you don't really know what every kid thinks their childhood is normal until a point, right? Until a point you realize it's not. I was listening to Dak Shepard, who's married to Kristen Bell, who's the voice of Frozen, of one of the Frozen characters, and she wants to go to school and tell her class, like, my mama is Princess so and so from Frozen, and he has to be like, you can't do that. There's going to be some jealousy. I always thought that my father's music was for me. He used to sing this song called "Swing Swing" to us when we were growing up, and I didn't know that wasn't on the radio. I couldn't differentiate that from like Brick House or Easy or Sail On or any of these songs that he was winning awards for. He used to yell at us for playing catch with his Grammy. There was a Grammy on the coffee table. My brother and I would play catch with it. So as I got older, as I got into middle school, it started to kind of resonate, and I understood it more. But when I was very young, there were a lot of things that happened that this weren't normal. I mean, my brother was a huge fan of Ozzie Smith, the shortstop, right? Okay. The Hall of Fame shortstop, and he was in town playing the Dodgers, and we heard this knock at the door. And we answered the door, and it's Ozzie Smith. Well, he was a fan of my dad's at the time. So my dad just contacted his agent and said, "Hey, would you mind popping by?" And he was like, "Sure." So he was freaking out. I just like run and I hide under the coffee table. And he comes in, and my brother goes and gets all of his baseball cards, and he sits down with him, and Ozzie signs them all. And I remember him saying, this is going to devalue them. Yeah, I guess if they're not mint anymore if I sign them. And my brother was like, "I don't care, just sign them all." So he hung out for like an hour in our living room, signed all of the cards, took pictures with my brother, and chatted it up with us, and left. I unfortunately spent most of the time under the coffee table hiding. So, I was so nervous and
I bet I would be.
Yeah. So, but no, it was a great experience. So things like that, Lionel Richie's my godfather. So growing up, he was always around. My father was close with Kenny Rogers. I remember going over to the left-handed tennis player Jimmy Connor's house. Like there are things like that I still was kind of young. And once I got into high school, I did my own thing. But at a young age, like during, because when I was really, really young, all of that was kind of happening around me. But I was in my own element, my own space as a kid. So I wasn't able to kind of understand it the way an adult would. But those were the kind of things that would happen regularly, and you just kind of just go with it,
Like it, man. I like it. How is your relationship today with your parents? Are you really close to your family still?
I am really close. Yeah, my father's remarried, living in Atlanta. My mother's still in Los Angeles. She's not remarried, but I'm very close. I'm very close with them. Very, my mother's my heart. My father was traveling a lot when I was coming up. He'd be gone for 8 or 9 months at a time sometimes, So he did his best. He would still coach our little league teams when he could, and he definitely was present a lot of the time. But there were definitely some serious gaps there because of what he did for a living, and they didn't want us. There's 4 of us, by the way. I have an older brother, a younger brother, and a younger sister, and they didn't want us to be. They wanted us to have a home, right? They wanted us to feel like LA was our home. So we didn't travel with him much. We stayed in LA. And so my mother did a lot of the parenting when I was particularly young, and so for that reason, she and I are extremely close. And as I've gotten older, and especially into adulthood, I found a renewed my appreciation for my father, and I'm really close with him now. I really love the man that he is, and that I've come to know.
That's awesome, man. That's good. I like that a lot, man. I lost my dad when I was in high school, so it's really cool to hear people that have developed that relationship even more in their adulthood. It's really cool to see that.
Yeah, I still remember the first time I beat him in basketball. Yeah, one-on-one. I think I was he had just came back into town from a show. I think I was 18. I think I was either senior in high school or freshman in college. And yeah, I remember that game. And I could tell like he was trying his hardest, and I knew he was trying his hardest, and I still beat him. And I was like, wow, I just beat my dad.
Did you destroy him or did you barely beat him?
No, it was a close game. Basketball's not his game. He's an amazing tennis player. Just so you know, in terms of sports, like my father, he won the championship when he was in college in the South. I forgot what the title was. It was a.
Where did he go?
He went to Tuskegee.
Okay.
Yeah. He went to Tuskegee in Alabama, and he was really, really good. And he still is. He's still really good in his age bracket. I mean, he's still really, really good. And so I'm trying to get into tennis now too, play with him. He still beats me.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. There's that. There's that athleticism right there, man. Came from your dad. Was your mom in sports?
No, my mother wasn't. Okay. But she kind of ran the Beverly Hills Little. I grew up in Beverly Hills, and she ran the Little League. So I still wonder to this day. We had some really good teams, and I was always on the All-Star team and stuff. But I wonder if she kind of loaded our teams, me and my brothers. I don't know. She'd say she didn't, but I question it now. I was always on a really good team, Mom. Like, what? What was that
about? So let's fast forward to college. Was Stanford University always your first choice?
Great question, but I don't know. The short answer is yes. I mean, it was in California. I was close enough to get home if I needed to get home. It's about a 5-hour drive, but it's far enough away where you're not, nobody can just like pop by. I like the weather in California better, but because of I did really well academically, so I was able to get into a lot of the Ivies and a bunch of other really good schools. So there was some decision making there, but ultimately it boiled down to kind of like the weather and also just the culture. Like it's a more laid back culture. The East Coast is a little bit more conservative and stuffy, if you will. So I was kind of enjoying the more laid back culture that Stanford kind of offered, and so. And since it was D1 sports as well, like sports were a big thing for me. To be honest with you, I probably could have played baseball if I had gone to Yale or Princeton or something, but unfortunately I got cut from the Stanford team, which I understood. I mean, I'll tell you, I was hitting BP. We were out there, I was just swinging a bat, and I was I used to get all the ball. Like I would just get all of it just right on the bang, and it would short hop the fence or long hop the fence, because I was kind of a punch and Judy hitter, stole bases, that kind of thing. Played great defense. I was a second baseman. And I remember Joe Borchard, who was a switch hitter, comes up, and it was live BP. And so the first pitch is kind of low and away, and he just barely he flings his arms out, just barely gets a piece of it. And it goes about 340 over the fence to the left field in Sunken Diamond at Stanford. Stanford Stadium is called Sunken Diamond. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, wow. Like, I don't know what
bye.
I don't know, I guess about as hard as I can hit a ball, and he just barely got a piece of it, I mean, he was 6'5", like 240. He also played quarterback. He ended up getting drafted. Yeah, he got drafted by the Marlins. He played in the major leagues for I think 5 or 6 seasons. So
yeah, his name does sound kind of familiar. I gotta look him up. I gotta look him
up.
All right, so now everybody wants to know, how did you end up being cast for the Real World Paris?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, when I got out of school, I was working for Fox on a movie. And on a Saturday, my friend calls me, and I was putting in extra hours. I was driving stuff around town, and he said, "Hey, there's an audition for Making the Band 2." Because I used to rap a little bit. Not well, mind you. Making the Band 2, really? They're like, yeah, it's going to be with like Diddy, I was like, okay, well, I guess I could try to audition. I get there early. I get there about a half an hour early. I sign up, so I'm one of the first people in line. And I go through, and I remember it was an Eminem song. And I get up there, and at the time I had my big hair that you saw on Real World. The big shaggy afro.
Yeah.
And I was wearing an all a purple velour suit, Fat Farm velour suit with like puffy and one basketball sneakers.
Oh God.
And I grabbed that mic and I just started to spit and was like, and I started to go, and I was terrible. Like in my mind, terrible. I was flubbing the words. I was offbeat. It was just awful. And I just realized that this is terrible. And I just dropped the mic and I took a hard right turn and exited stage right and kept walking right out the door, and just started walking down the steps. I was like, I am not even going to let them tell me how bad this was. I don't want to hear any feedback. I'm out. And one of the PAs chases me all the way down. We were on the 3rd floor at the Hollywood Highlands. Chases me all the way down to the 1st floor. And it's like, Adam, wait. They want to audition. They want you to interview for the show. I'm like, no, I know I was terrible. I'm not going to have one of these William Hung, like gag reel type performances. No.
She banged.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
And they were like, no. They want you to interview for a different show. So reluctantly, I walk back up the steps. I go in there, and they had me fill out this long packet. It was like one of those psych evals or whatever. And,
okay.
You know what I mean? And it's like, what's your worst nightmare? Like, who's your biggest hero? All that stuff. And I ended up going upstairs and interviewing. By the time I got in front of the camera, I was there for I was supposed to be there about 30 minutes. I was there about 2 hours. They kept having to change tapes. So I was like, wow, okay, this is going kind of well. I don't hear from them for 9 months. And 9 months later, I'm an associate producer on a different television show, but it gets canceled. It's for the African American Heritage Network at the time. It gets canceled. And right then they call me out of the blue and they're like, hey, we want you to come in as a finalist for this show. I was like, okay, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna pick you up on Saturday morning. And they had a PA pick me up in front of my house on Saturday morning. I get in and the PA's cute. So I just start flirting with her. Big time flirting with her. Little do I know, there are cameras all in the car. Right? So they're recording me flirting with this girl, basically hit on her.
What?
There. And then I get there and I interview with the soon-to-be director. It goes well. I forgot what they asked me. Normal interview questions. And a week later, they call me and say, hey, do you want to go to Paris? I was like, all right. Yeah, I guess. On a whim. I didn't even know that this was an option. Like, yeah, we leave in 2 weeks. Pack your stuff. So I was like, okay. And I didn't have a job at the time because the show I was working on got canceled. Right. I was subletting an apartment from a friend. So I just said, just keep my stuff in storage, I guess. Or I'll just pay you for the rent, and you can just leave my stuff in the room. And then I put my car in storage, and I was on a plane in 2 weeks to Paris, and that was 5 months.
Did you know that was gonna be the Real World?
I knew it was gonna be the Real World. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be the Real World. But here's the thing: I had never watched Real World.
Really?
Yeah, and it was a huge phenomenon for everybody and my friends. All my friends watch it, everybody, but I just never really liked reality TV. And it kind of had rubbed me the wrong way at the time. And so I just never really got into it. And what I should have done in retrospect is watched a few episodes. I think I watched one episode, and it was the Vegas episode where they all got in the hot tub. It was like a orgy episode.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All 10 of them. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. 4 hot girls, 3 guys. Let's do it. I wish I would have watched more. I wish I would have watched a little bit more. I would have been much better prepared. But
right.
Look, it is what it is. I had a great time. I'm in hindsight, I'm very lucky that I got to do Paris. At the time, I was a little bit frustrated because I was like, well, I kind of want to do a city in the U.S. where I can just go to the bars and own everything and, while out the way I want to, because Paris.
Yeah.
But, hey, I got to live in Paris for 5 months. There's nothing like that. Dude, if I had just done a regular city in the U.S., it would not have been the same cultural experience. So I'm blessed in hindsight. So I'm really grateful for that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. We got comments coming in. This one this one right here, it's a question that I was going to ask you, but SP fan 68 wants to know: did you throw the elimination against Bananas and Tyler? Because that's the stigma against you, Adam. Is that everyone thinks that you had a deal with Johnny and to throw CT on the bus, but I don't believe so. Let's hear it from you.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I get that question a lot. It's I don't regret much in life. I'm the kind of person that feels like we are who we are because of all of our experiences, right? All we are is a sum of all of our experiences. So I don't know who I would be if I had made different decisions. All I know is I learned from those decisions and I move forward. In the case of that challenge, I certainly did not throw it. I know it looks that way. I don't think it would have been possible. You could have offered me any amount of money that on the table. I would not have thrown it because my pride is worth too much. That was one of the more difficult things that's ever happened in my life, for the simple fact that, I grabbed the wrong ball and ran in the wrong direction. It was a mental mistake. And when we went in there, I remember looking at that situation because I'm a quick guy. My strengths are able to support my own body weight, my foot speed, my intellect. What I lack in strength, I make up, pure physical raw power. I make up for in those other categories.
Right.
So all the elimination was basically a foot speed setup. I was like, man, this is great for me. I was like, me and CT are going to just blow through this thing. So for me to make that kind of error, right, that mental mistake, that error, I mean, that's the equivalent of, for me, dropping a lazy fly ball on the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs and bases loaded. I mean, that's how it felt for me. I was seriously depressed for months after that. I got over, I did other things, but yeah, I had a really rough time. When I got back, we went, because that was right when Real World Vegas Part 2, the second one, was about to air. And I went on an awful bender. I went to Vegas and just had an awful week there, lost a bunch of money, drank way too much, just to try to get over the fact that I felt so awful about being eliminated in that challenge. I mean, I was inconsolable after that. I mean, I had trouble sleeping, all that. I mean, because I just flubbed it. Like, I literally just went, grabbed the ball, and before I knew it, I was like, why am I grabbing these balls? And it wasn't like I didn't know the rules ahead of time. It was just simply a mental error. So no, I'd love to sit here and tell you that I did it and it was some elaborate scheme. But the truth is, I wanted to beat those guys. And as much as we are friends, away from the show, when it came to that competition, I was not about to throw it. And there's no point in time during any of the challenges where that thought ever seriously crossed my mind. I'll placate to people and, okay, sure, and make up stories about ideas that I'm having. But no, the truth is, with my competitive spirit, no, there was never an option for me to throw any challenge.
In the episode, I agree with you. I don't see that coming from you at all. In the episode, I don't know if you watched it or not, but did it seem like was it that close?
Yeah, because Johnny did. Tyler did the same thing that I did.
Yeah, right. But at the end, when you were stumbling and CT was grabbing you, were you just gassed?
Oh, was that? Yeah. So, yeah. But remember what I mentioned earlier about the adrenaline pumping?
Yeah.
So I didn't. My adrenaline had been pumping for like 90 minutes. So the bus ride over there, then you get there, and then you're sitting. So we got dressed up. So all this stuff is going on, and it was really steep. It was about 10 feet. I'd say about 10 feet or so.
Super steep.
Down to that ravine and up. So when I realized I had made that gaffe, I was like, well, I just got to empty the tanks now, because I was going to pace myself. I'm quick. But once I realized I made that gaffe, I didn't realize that that Tyler had. And so I was like, well, you already lost this. In my mind's eye, I was like, we lost because I just did this. So I was like, I'm just going to empty the tanks the other way. And I did. And I just gassed myself out. And in the end, I didn't realize how close it was. Like when we collided, me and Tyler, I was rolling around and my legs were gassed, but I thought it already popped up and ran up there. So I wasn't as motivated as I should have been. But yeah, no, I was gassed at the end anyway. So I wish things had been different. I was in a weird place in my head after making that mistake. I was kind of in panic mode, to be honest with you. I truly was. I was truly panicking. And
like at the CT?
No, I was panicking because I thought I had lost it for us.
Oh, got you.
I thought I had truly lost the entire thing. So
I'm gonna tell you right now, you guys would have won the final.
Yeah, I mean,
easily, hands down. hands down.
Yeah, the finals are interesting though. I mean, the problem with the finals, you don't have to go fast. Like we learned that on the Gauntlet 3. The biggest mistake people make is trying to go fast in the beginning. Yo, you're gonna be there all day. Jog, take it easy. Like don't even worry about it. You can even walk it if you need to. Like, it's not. There's always gonna be those parts of the final puzzle where you stop and now you have to figure it out and you can make it up. At the end of Gauntlet 3, if we had walked the whole thing, we could have got to the end and dug that chest out. The chest dig took about 5 hours for them to do it. Took us 3. It took it. So yeah, we were there. The sun was going down. It took the rookies on Gauntlet 3 5 hours or more maybe to dig that thing out. It was crazy. In the end, they were losing light at the end, so they threw them a shovel.
Oh, we didn't see that. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was only Frank, Nehemiah, and 3 girls. They were the only ones left, and we had 10 people on our team.
That's right.
So it was brutal. Yeah.
Big Easy.
Yeah.
Big Easy, man. Oh.
You should have won.
Yeah. I think you still stood a one. Coming back from that and be able to do that and beat them. Oh man.
But I'll tell you what, I was really upset. But if I were the producers on that, I would have done exactly what they did because it was sponsored by Go Army or the Army or something. So their whole thing was never leave any man behind. So there's no way they were going to let us leave behind one of our guys and still win. They were going to automatically do this.
Yeah. So we're going back to Paris. Do you still have connections with your roommates to this day?
Yeah. We're not super close. I mean, I talk to Mal. I text Leah or I DM Leah or whatever occasionally just to stay in touch with her. Mallory and I talk via social media as well, just to say hi. She's doing great, by the way. CT and I obviously do challenges together. We're not really friends outside of the show as much. We're cordial. I bear him no ill will, but we're not close. Ace is probably.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, that
was one of the biggest questions I gotten since I asked you to do this was that is CT and Adam still friends, because he made that such a theme in Rivals. Are we friends? Are we friends? And
yeah, look, I just didn't want to be. I didn't want to be disingenuous, right? When I was there, because for me, this was my 6th challenge. It was my 7th show. I'd done 3 with him, 4 if you count the duel 2. So I just didn't want to go on that show and misrepresent myself and say, hey, we're the best of friends. We're the closest now. I have respect for what he's done and who he is and kind of the way he's presented himself to the world and to the show. So I'm not going to begrudge him any of that, but I just think there are innate parts of our personalities that are different, and to say that he and I are like best of friends would, like I said, be disingenuous. Look, there's always going to be a place. We're always going to be inexorably linked through this experience. And, and that's okay. I look forward to us having reunions and, for us to kind of like bump into each other here and there and to catch up and that kind of stuff. And who knows, maybe one day down the line, we will be really close. There's something will happen and we'll go into business together. Who knows what the future holds? But my thing from Rivals forward, being where I was kind of in my place and being one of the veteran players, I just didn't want to go on there and say or do anything that would misrepresent kind of how I felt and then have to either backtrack or go on later and say, that's not exactly how I felt and make up kind of excuse.
I respect that. I a part of me wish that you guys did remake, because it seemed like that bond was growing a lot more at the end of the season.
Oh, but, no doubt. And by the way, if we had won that last challenge and gone to the finals, I mean, it'd been a different story. Like we win that. Oh yeah, we win Rivals. Dude, I'm hugging him. We're up there. I mean, yeah. Honestly, that could have. It's like sliding doors. The movie Sliding Doors. We're like, miss a sliding door. If we win that challenge, who knows? Maybe that sparks some kind of newfound camaraderie / friendship, and we leave there instead of me going on some crazy week-long bender in Vegas. Instead, now he and I fly back to the States and we go on like a victory tour or do something.
Right. So another thing, and I know there's another thing that people wanted to ask. Jen and Kellyanne have been going on Reddit and slander your name. I think it was like a year or 2 years ago. I don't remember the interview it was, but do you know about that, and how do you feel about that? Because it seemed like like how she treated you on Rivals was just weak.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting environment, right? It's kind of like summer camp. You know, when you go on those challenges, a lot of times what you're doing there is kind of a fling. That's why I'm always interested when people try to maintain those relationships outside of that reality bubble, because things change very quickly when you get outside of that bubble. So with Jen, I'll start with Jen. I mean, I think I could have handled it better when we went on the reunion. We went on the reunion, and I could have been more mature about the whole situation and understood that it was just a nice, fun fling to have. You know, when we got back, I went with her. I went up to Oakland to visit her, and just things weren't the same. And I think I harbored resentment because of that. So, you know, I should have on the reunion. I opened my mouth about us hooking up in Miami or something, and I should have just kept my mouth shut and said, you know what we had in Costa Rica was fun.
Right.
It's in Costa Rica. You know, I think the world of her, and you know, take the high road and move forward. I haven't heard about her slandering my name or saying anything disparaging about me. And if she is, she's entitled to say what she wants. I don't have anything bad to say about her. I've never done anything evil to her, or you know. And the same goes with Kellyanne. I know she went on, has been saying some awful things about me, especially during like the Me Too movement. She wanted to get some publicity, so she went on and said that something happened back in 2007. I think it was in 2017 or 18 when the Me Too thing was happening. She went on and said that 10 years ago that she and I hooked up, but she was too drunk to give consent.
Yeah.
So look, again, I'm not going to say anything bad about Kellyanne. Her reputation speaks for herself. What I'm going to say is that no, none of that happened. At no point in time have I ever coerced or forced or even acted inappropriately toward Kellyanne, or any woman for that matter, in that way. So, you know, it bothers me. It makes me furious. You know, I had to hear from a third party. I was working at the time. I was on set for a TV show that my boss was working on, and I was flirting with a girl who was working on the show as well, and she was asking me out, and because of things in my personal life, I was unable. I basically had to say, like, look, I just don't have the time to date right now, and she sent me that article or the text, and I was like, what is this? She was like, this is what they're saying about you. Now I don't respond to that. I don't want to lend it a microphone, especially because I know it's not true. But as somebody who you know, has always prides myself on my integrity when it comes to women and standing up for women's rights and that kind of thing, yeah, right. It made me angry and it hurt. But just, I know it's not true. I know they're flagrant lies. So rather than fuel the fire, my decision is just to, you know, say nothing about it, and you know, because I know that they're flagrant lies, and I'm not gonna fuel it.
Good for you, man. Good for you. I appreciate that. And thank you for sharing that, because that was one of the things that people wanted me to ask, and you come off as, like, I know that like challengers have to play a character on the show, but you come off as a noble guy that's always there to stick up for, you know, for the weak, and you know, and yeah, you bolded with the Johnnies and the Evans and the Kinneys when it came around, but you know, at the end of the day, I always thought that you were a stand-up dude. So I mean, it's truly unfortunate if those accusations are false, because I you know, I definitely can see why they struck after the Me Too movement. So,
no, yeah,
especially the whole Tanya thing. I mean, that really shocked the world, you know, because we didn't see Evan and Kinney after Rivals, and we didn't see you after Rivals. So it sucked.
No, it's true, and that's the thing. Women, you know, look, it's a very disparaging thing to say. It's like anytime you mention that, it slanders somebody's name, and it does damage. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of my friends were like, "You should sue them." You know, because you know they don't have any proof or anything. So it's like, when I say they, I'm specifically talking about Kellyanne. I don't know what Jen has said, but no, I mean,
she said the same thing, pretty much what Kellyanne said.
Oh well.
Like not the whole. She said that you were like very stalkerish, very like wouldn't let her go, and this type of stuff. But once again, there was also a thing where she was trying to get back on the show. So I mean, it's just creating clout.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where I don't want to be fodder for that. It's whether I stick up for the little guy or not, it's not that I'm trying to be too overly righteous. Look, I have my downside, right? Or I have my faults. People know I can definitely party with the best of them, and I've had my time in that kind of space. But I always tried to comport myself with a modicum of respect as much as I could, and there was always a very thick line when it came to women in particular, right? So certain things are all well and good fun, but I know where that line is, and when somebody makes accusations like that, the most unfortunate thing is that there's nothing you can do to prove anything. If people are going to feel some way about you, they're going to feel that way, right? They're going to, you're guilty in the court of public opinion, no matter what you say or do. It was the old saying, like you're not famous until there's a gay rumor about you, right? That you can't just disprove or discredit.
Yep.
So what I can do is just live my life the way I know how to live it, and people are going to act and say and do what they're going to say and do, and I can't control that. The last thing I want to do is let it occupy or rent any space in my head, because Lord knows there's enough going on up there.
Facts right there. I love that answer. Why was Rivals your last season?
Well, it's a number of factors, right? So Buna Murray casts the shows, and they always have an idea of what they want the theme of the show to be, and kind of they map out who they think should be there based on past relationships, potential, and what could happen in the future. Right when I left Rivals, I landed a job with an entertainment marketing firm that I was with for 5 years, from 2012 to 2017. And right after 2017, I landed a job as Diddy's personal assistant, PD's personal assistant.
Oh, wow.
I was with him for 2 years. So in that time, in that span, I could never break away. When you do the challenge, you got to be able to say, all right, I'm going to disappear for 2 months or 6 weeks or whatever it takes. I didn't have that luxury. I was doing very well professionally. I didn't have that kind of time. And I definitely got called about challenges, but at a certain point, you kind of have to do what's best for you. I know certain people can do.
So you still got calls?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
Like Johnny, and Johnny's, he's blessed. He's done a great job of making it a career. CT's in his 40s now, still doing it. A lot of people can do it for 2 decades plus. That just, for me, I kind of wanted to have a different path. I would always find solid work in between challenges. So I did my first challenge, and then I worked at a talent agency for 2 years. And then when I left there, I did another challenge real quickly. And then from there, I started working for a studio, and I worked on the show Undercover Boss and some other TV shows. And then and then one of my shows got canceled, and then I went on another challenge, and that was Rivals. And then so the challenges always kind of naturally occurred at times in my life when I was either in between jobs or in between shows, working behind the camera, and I could do them. But I never really wanted to make those shows my full-on career. I felt like there was I mean, how long can you do them, right? I mean, am I going to be doing them when I'm 50, 60? I mean,
I think you could have.
I mean, if Tom Brady's still playing quarterback at 43.
Hey, there it is right there, man. There it is right there.
Look, if they call me right now, I mean, look, I wish in 2020 I could have easily done one. And if they call me right now, I'd probably say yes. But I've asked.
Do they have to call you, or do you have to put interest out there for them?
No, they have to. Well, they have the final word. I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure a lot of the cast members who have like a lot of social media clout, or who kind of put themselves out there in a number of different ways, have petitioned Buna Murray to be on them and said, hey, or called up our contacts and said, hey, I'd like to do the next challenge. But ultimately, it boils down to what what the producers feel
Right.
makes the best fit. They're not gonna kowtow to the demands of a cast member. So. I mean, maybe Johnny has enough clout or something. Like CT, one of the guys.
Probably. Yeah, Johnny, CT, and West probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
SP fans, what's your relationship like with Evan and Kenny now? There was a story of them saying they stole from you.
Oh yeah, the Playboy party. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. So no, they didn't steal from me. It's an interesting story. I did pay for the room, but no, I mean, look, they were in town. We were all going to the Playboy Mansion for this party. Playboy Mansion parties were crazy. I mean, I feel kind of bad for people that don't get to go now because it's shut down. Those parties were second to none. I mean,
really?
To this day, I mean, those parties are crazy. So, like, so good that Kenny and Evan flew and Johnny fly into town. Well, Johnny was in Orange County, but they come into LA just for that party. So, you know, I already had a place, but we all just got a hotel room because it was going to be a crazy wild party. We wanted to have some place to come back to and act a fool, right? Well, I put my credit card down, a lot of booze, a lot of activities, and the night's a blur, really. And so ultimately, I don't spend the night at the hotel. I completely forget that my card is there and the room is closed out. My card is charged. It doesn't even dawn on me until like weeks later. And I was just like, all right, well, that's the penalty I pay. I think it was $3,500 or something like that. But yeah, I was like, it was expensive. But you know, that's the penalty I pay for not being on top of it. Like I'm the one who put my card down. So you know, I forgot if they offered to pay me back or whatnot. At the time, you know, we were making really good money, and it was just you just chalk it up to the party gods.
Mm-hmm. And how's your relationship now with them?
Great. You know,
you guys still talk?
Yeah, when they're in town, I see them. We talk all the time. I take their calls. They'll take my calls. We're not really outside of the challenge. We don't work in the same industry. Obviously, you know, Kenny's really big into fitness, and you know, Johnny's still trying to, you know, launch his outside the challenge career. I think there will be kind of a mutual point where we all meet up in the future. I've got some irons in the fire when it comes to entertainment and some shows I'm working on. I know they are as well. So
what's Evan doing now?
Great question. Evan is actually married.
Congrats to him.
Yeah. He's doing well. I haven't seen Evan. God, 7 or 8 years at least, maybe more.
Oh, jeez.
Evan, I think I texted Evan. I texted with Evan. I had a quick conversation with him about a year ago, and that's the last time. But I really haven't kept up as much as I probably should have with Evan. But he's doing well. As far as I know, he's doing well. I know he and Kenny still chat all the time, but he is doing well. I think he's in Canada right now.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That's good stuff. What was your thinking going into the Duel 2 and finally standing up for yourself with CT? Did you expect that to happen?
No. You know, that had been a long time coming. There's a lot of stuff that went on that they didn't catch. Actually, that night was our night off. That was the party night. That was a Halloween night. They only had one camera on. I'm actually shocked they got the amount of coverage they did with just one camera.
Wow.
And unfortunately, there was a lot of booze involved. I wish I could go back and not drink as much that night. There, I guess you could say that about a lot of the nights on the challenges. But what people don't know is the day before, I think maybe 2 days before, CT had been acting kind of like a bully. He had been kind of punking people in the house, and one of the guys that he punked was Isaac. And Isaac was trying to kind of stand up for himself, and CT threw him into the bed. And the cameras running around, but he manhandled him and just threw him into the bed. And Isaac, I don't think they knew each other at the time. So Isaac was like, "What's going on?" And so we were all like, chill. So that was on my mind as well. We broke that up. We're like, "Yo, don't be a dick." But that was also on my mind, you know, him coming in. And it's one thing when he does it to me. I've always felt this way, you know. Growing up, my older brother used to beat me up pretty bad. And, you know, but I always felt like I could take it. Like it was okay because I could take it. And as an adult, I feel that way as well. That whether it's physical abuse or emotional abuse, mental abuse, I can take it. But other people, I always feel like might not be as strong as me. So it really burns my, it chaps my heart, as you should say, when people bully other people. And so because of that, I think that was part of what was going on in my head when I was calling him a coward and saying that. It wasn't just standing up for myself. It was also kind of a bubbling up of all the things that had transpired over the last 4 and 5 years, 3 and 4 shows. Obviously him pointing that beer on my head on Gauntlet 3 when I just, kept my cool. And look, I know I'm not an idiot. Like I know that if we were to get into a boxing ring, CT, and I wouldn't stand a chance about him. He's twice my, he's twice my size. He's also very athletic. But in that moment, that was the decision I made. And everybody knows that if you put your hands on somebody, you're going home. So my whole thing was not to hit him, don't hit him. But they decided that me trying to pour my beer on his head at the time constituted an aggressive act. And I had to go home as well. It was a silly thing to do at the time. It didn't get accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, unfortunately. But that was going to happen. If it wasn't then, it was going to happen at some point, either during that show or after. Or at some point, that was going to happen. So, might as well get it out of the way early. Walk away with minimal damage, I think. Katie still tells a story about the blood on the wall, like handprint of blood on the wall everywhere. She was like freaked out. She said the girls were crying. They were all like huddled up and crying in the laundry room. It was a scary scene. There wasn't much security there. Evan was acting as kind of like the security for the situation. And, I think everybody learned a lot from it, but, it was gonna happen eventually. Just to what extent? And I think the alcohol helped fuel that night, and it went down the way it went down.
Dang, man. Well, everything happens for a reason, and obviously we got a great season with you guys and Rivals. But let's switch away from the challenge. I know we want to talk about the Super Bowl this Sunday. Let's talk about it. I know you're a big football guy. I know you're a big baseball guy. How do you see the Super Bowl going this Sunday? I want 2 things. How do you see it happening? Who's going to win? And who's going to get MVP?
Okay. Well, we all know that how things went down the first time they played with, Tyreek running crazy in the first quarter.
Close yards.
All right, so my prediction is, I think Kansas City wins, and I think Kansas City wins by 10 points. I think it's a 10-point victory. They cover the spread. The big thing are those 2 tackles missing, right? So we're talking about Fisher and the right tackle as well being out. This is no small thing, right? I think people are downplaying it. Mahomes will find a way. He's got enough weapons. But if you watch what they did to Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, and they sacked Aaron Rodgers 5 times. But it's more than sacking him. And when you're in that pocket and you feel them coming, it changes the way you kind of play. And if you watch Patrick Mahomes play, he plays with reckless abandon. He throws off his back foot. He backpedals because everything he touches turns to gold. And he's got that momentum.
Yep.
What the Tampa Bay defense can do is stop that momentum. Plug that really quickly. And if he gets rocked a few times, things can change. And I liken it to. It's very much like the cerebral game versus the overall talent game, right? Tom Brady and the Bucs in general, under his leadership, they're a cerebral team now. They go in with a plan. They practice hard. They stick to their game plan, and they wear you down. Whereas, the reason the Chiefs are so much fun to watch is because they don't. They just fling it. I mean, they're running plays like they're just running backyard plays. And Tyreek Hill is that good. He's that, and it's because of game speed. When you play football, that there's 40 times. There's other types of speed. Then there's game speed, and some guys might have a good 40 time, but in the game, not that fast. The guy like Deion Sanders. I mean, his game speed was next level. Tyreek Hill has that. It's not just the numbers on the gun. It's the foot speed in between the hash marks that you don't recognize or appreciate until you play against them and you see it. So with that in mind, I think it's going to be a very tight first half, and I think second half adjustments, the Bucks kind of own the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, Mahomes makes a bunch of really cool, fun backyard plays, touchdowns, and late in the game, they go up about 2 scores, and it's just going to be too much for the Bucks to come back, and Tom Brady tries to bring his team back, and he ends up throwing some silly interception really deep, or they just turn it over on downs, and they lose by 10 to 14 points.
Who's getting MVP?
Oh, MVP. Yeah, it has to go to – it's going to go to Patrick Mahomes will probably get it again because they're going to fling it. And it's either him or Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has another 200-yard game. He might get it, but ultimately Patrick's the guy. He's the straw that, stirs that drink. So it goes to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, for me, man, I definitely agree with what you're saying. The tackles scare me a lot for Kansas City. They're already playing with backups pretty much across the line. The running game, Le'Veon Bell hasn't been nothing. It's been more about Darrell Williams. And Clyde is back. He's healthy. I think that's going to help a little bit in the running game for Patrick, who's still dealing with a turf toe. The defensive side, Kansas City's defense has been really surprising people a lot in this postseason. Great blitzing. Spangola, the defensive coordinator, is doing a great job mixing up the blitz pressures. We saw against Josh Allen, who's very mobile last week in the last game, and he couldn't do anything. He was very limited. But we're dealing with the GOAT. We're dealing with Tom Brady here, and I know Tom Brady's going to expect a lot of different pressures, a lot of things. Antonio Brown is healthy, which is huge for Tampa Bay. This game is going to go down to that final drive. I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. I got a 31-30 Tampa Bay with go figure with the field goal to winning it for Tom Brady as always. So I got him winning. I got him winning this game, Adam. A lot of distractions. We talked about it in the backstage with the coach's son having issues with the accident today. Might be a possible DUI. And then the potential of the COVID with the barber. I mean, it seems like it's a lot of distractions. Tampa Bay has the home field advantage, which really doesn't give up that much because it's only 25K, but it's still home field advantage. I just, for some reason, Adam, I just think Tom Brady is going to pull it out of his ass and get a dub. And and
we talked to that guy put 3.5. That guy from Houston put $3.5 million on him. So
insane, dude. It's just insane. But yeah, man, that's I think it's going to go down. And now I know you're a baseball guy, and so how do you? It's a 2-part question. I didn't write the other part down, but first of all, Trevor Bauer signed with the Dodgers today. He's gonna make $30 million this year and $35 million next year. How did you expect him to go to the Dodgers?
No. But I mean, when you've got deep pockets like the Dodgers have, I mean, that is actually the question at the bottom of the screen. How do you feel about the sport of baseball and the current climate it's in? My issue, and look, I'm a Dodger fan. I love that we can just go out and buy players and we're contenders every year. It's great. Look, if you're a Yankee fan or a Dodger fan or a Red Sox fan, you kind of love it, right? Because your team is only 1 year out of contention any given year because you can just go buy a team.
Right.
But I think it hurts the value of the league as a whole. And I said this about 6 or 7 years ago, that maybe more, that the national pastime was baseball, right? Baseball has always been the national pastime. It is no longer. It is now football. It's now football. Sundays during football season are pretty much a national holiday. Yeah, right? At least for my crew, like the people that I kick it with, don't bother us on Sunday because we've got 8 hours of games during the middle of the day, and then we've got Sunday night football. So, football, in my opinion, has now become the national pastime. But there's a huge place in my soul and in my heart for baseball because I grew up playing that sport and I love it. But I appreciate it for its nuances, right? I appreciate it for its 4-hour games, for every pitch mattering, for a 3-0 fastball, on the corner is not just a 3-0 fastball. There's meaning behind it. So, when I think about the Dodgers being able to shell out this kind of money for these players, I think it kind of hurts the small market teams. I mean, look, Trevor Bauer is going to make more money himself than the entire Pirates 26-man or 25.
I read that.
That's crazy.
That's
right?
insane.
Insane. So, I mean, look, the market yields what the market yields, right? And that's the way baseball's been handled. That's the way it is. But I do think it hurts. I think it hurts the brand. I think it hurts when you've got teams that want to compete, and we're going to see the same teams. I mean, look, the Dodgers are likely going to be in the World Series again. What I think it really hurts is people are going to stop kind of paying attention to regular season games in as much because they're not going to matter till later. Like the NBA, I love basketball, but I don't really watch closely in the first 3 quarters of the season because more than half the teams make the playoffs in the NBA. So I just don't want baseball to fall victim to that kind of, I want people to care more about what happens to the smaller market teams and how they play. And with the way things are going and how slow the sport is, and we're in a give it to me now culture. So yeah. Nobody really wants to sit around for 4 hours and watch a baseball game. So I fear that we're going to lose out on a lot of the youth, and in particular black athletes. You look at when I was coming up, there were far more. Now, you have to really, really look deep to find, black athlete or black baseball players that you can.
Especially now,
it's just not something that the black culture kind of gets behind. Whether that's resources, because it does take a lot more resources to play baseball, right? You can't just get a ball and get a friend and go hoop. You need a field, and you need bats and balls and time and players. And I run into that myself. It's a lot easier for me just to go out and play basketball with my friends, with a couple of us. I play in a wood bat league, and you have to have everything going to play in a wood bat league. So I am concerned about the sport. Now, how concerned? Look, if they can still pay guys $36 million a season, I'm not that concerned, right? But
right.
In terms of it competing with the big four: basketball, baseball, football, and hockey, and obviously MLS is on the come up now. So I feel like something needs to be done, not necessarily just with the way it's financed, but with the way it's played and marketed, to make it more relevant, and to get to say, hey, look, maybe we don't need to try to fast track this thing. Maybe we just need to go after the people that really love the sport and tone it down enough. Stop paying guys $36 million. There's nothing you can do with $36 million that you can't do with 10.
Yep.
Okay. It's just a matter of the market. That's what the market allows. So there's got to be other ways to spend that money. I'm not saying that the owner should get to keep all of that money, but there are other ways to spend it. Put it back into the communities, revenue sharing, etc. So I am concerned, but not overly concerned about the state of baseball.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. For me personally, I grew up playing baseball as well. But then when in high school, when I touched the gridiron and touched the football, it was game over. I fell in love with football. And then the more as I've grown up, I've always been a Lakers fan, but basketball has actually overtaken baseball for me. MMA has taken over baseball for me. It's just it's truly unfortunate to see where baseball is today. I hope that it changes, because I do want to see small market teams win more. It was cool to see the Washington Nationals win a couple years ago. Yeah. It was really, really cool. And I wanted to see Bauer go to the Mets. I thought the Mets would have been a perfect spot for him. They're a team on the rise. A lot of smart moves they have done in this offseason. So I get what you're saying, Adam. I totally get it from a ethnic standpoint where you need more people to baseball. You can't just go out unless you want to play pepper or play, you work on your mechanics or what it is. But to go play with your friends, it's easy to just go get a ball and shoot in the hoop, or go play football, throw it back and forth, and stuff like that. So hopefully they'll figure it out. Maybe the approach of slowing it down and trying to where our market is and where to hit it would be beneficial for them. But obviously it's hard during this pandemic to do these things. But I'm with you, man. I'm with you on everything that you said. It sucks seeing these teams buy players, and it's like, why? Like, what's the point of competing?
Yeah. But even the Mets. If they had got Trevor Bauer, man, that with Syndergaard, Bauer. Who's the third one? Oh, and that's so sweet, Andrea.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Andrea. Love you, Adam. Wish you were on another challenge. So do I.
I'll tell you though, they are so much fun. A shout out to Buna Murray for making them fun. They really are. I do miss. I mentioned before they're like kind of like summer camp. You get there, you've got things to do, and one of the questions I get a lot is, are the challenges as much fun as the actual show, the real world? Because we were in Paris or on show, whatever city you're in, for 5 months, and they're very different, but they're definitely more fun in the kind of raw, like energy sense of the word, because you have a purpose, right? You get there and you're competing, and so for those of us that played sports growing up or just have a natural competitive vibe, you wake up every morning like, what are we going to do today? Who do we get to fight today? And so from that standpoint, it's a lot of fun.
Tell Adam Night Shift is one of the greatest songs of all time. I listen to it every night. The Commodores make me chill.
Yeah, that's a great song. That's the Grammy that we used to play catch with. They won the Grammy in 1985. They won Song of the Year. So that's the Grammy that we used to throw around and broke.
Would you do the OG show and has Mark reach out to him about it?
Mark, I love Mark. Mark's like the godfather of the challenges, and he's when I came on board, he was one of the first to reach out to me and say welcome to the family and all that stuff. He's a great guy, and I'm really proud of what he's been able to accomplish with this OG challenge. He did reach out to me. I told him I was available. I don't think that I'm going to get cast. It's again, it boils down to what their needs are, what Buna Murray thinks, all of that stuff, and I don't know what they're thinking. They don't share that stuff with me, but I love those challenges. I like doing them, and so if they ask me, I'll likely say yes. But if not, no hard feelings. I'm still a big supporter of everybody that does them, and and Mark himself. Again, just you guys, if you don't know Mark Long, he's a tremendous human being, and he's one of those people that you really should get to know if you get a chance.
Awesome, man. That's good, dude. Hey, we got a couple more questions. What do you think in your mind is Johnny Bananas the GOAT for the challenge?
I don't know. It's tough because the numbers are there, right? You talk about numbers. You talk about how many he's been on. How long he's been able to do it. He intentionally did it. He made a career of it. It's I don't think he's the most gifted or talented, but I certainly will tell you that he's put in the most work, right? So he's like a Tom Brady kind of work ethic, where it's like he made this his career. He recognized early on that he wants to keep doing this. He wants to keep himself relevant. Even when he's not on challenges, he continually promotes himself. So if he's not, he's on the Mount Rushmore for sure, right?
Who is on your Mount Rushmore?
Well, yeah,
you got 3 more spots.
That's true. I got to be honest. I don't follow the challenges as tightly as a lot of other people. If I'm not on them, in particular. But just in terms of just popularity wise, it's got to be Johnny and CT are up there.
Agree.
Yeah. And I'm just talking about the guys because the girls are on a kind of a different level.
This is where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
This is where it gets tricky, Adam. I've asked every challenger this.
Well, I don't know a lot of the newer guys, but so I'm going to just go with the older guys.
Stick with your seasons. Stick with your
I was going with the guys that, like, when I saw Darrell compete, guys, you don't want to go up. You don't want to go up against Darrell. So I put Darrell on there. Guys, you don't want to face. You don't want to face Johnny. You don't want to see CT. You don't want to see Darrell. And then it's either, for me, Kenny's a great competitor. Evan's really great. But I'd have to put Landon on there. Landon's a guy I don't think. I would put Kenny on there personally, but I would say, Landon gets honorable mention. Landon was, in terms of athleticism, you don't get much more athletic than Landon was, man. He was an amazing wrestler, strong, fast. He and Brad both. But yeah, I'd put up there. So that would be my Mount Rushmore for sure.
So it's funny that you brought Landon as an honorable mention because we did a most overrated and most underrated with Wes, And West put Landon overrated.
Really?
Yeah. So when dude, no lie, when we did the recap and and that was the number one thing in these Facebook groups and Reddit and all this, we're losing it when Wes said that. Like, what are you talking about? The guy has won 2 and has been like pretty much undefeated in eliminations besides Duel 2 when Brad beat him in that chain
Oh,
elimination.
by the way, they needed surgery after that. Both of them. They were both like that was bad. They was in the gravel. They were both really hurt after that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They didn't show up,
Okay.
but like they had some shoulder damn like a lot of these challenges people don't realize they're tough. I mean, you go till muscle failure a lot of times. When they have us doing things, you're just going till muscle failure, even if it seems simple. Simple things like on the ruins when I lost to Cyrus in that wheel turning thing, they didn't show, but when we took off our gloves from that, there was no skin left on a lot of our hand. Like blood, like I took my glove off, blood was dripping down my hand.
Wow.
Because we wore the skin off of our hands trying to grab that wheel. So, it's a lot of these things are a lot tougher than they look on camera. And you go for longer, right? You go for longer periods of time. Sometimes these elimination rounds will last like, I remember Frank did one on Gauntlet 3 where he was dragging MJ through the sand. Man, that was like an hour.
Woo.
It went on. It was like an hour. Like they were just digging in, and their elbows were raw and bleeding, and they were just digging. I mean, it was So it goes for a long time, and of course, you don't have that much time on the show, so you have to cut it up.
Right.
I mean, these elimination rounds can last hours sometimes.
Dude, we got comments flying in like no other right now. What was it like smoke Danny in Gauntlet 3?
Look, that felt good, I'll tell you, because I was very frustrated for having been thrown in there in the first place.
Right.
And I felt like I had been competing really well that whole time.
You were.
We had that early on, we had the mud pit, and I excelled at that and helped us win that. We had a very strong team. I knew that the final was going to be something that we would just dominate. So I wanted to get to that final in particular. I thought I had to get to this final, and that was the last elimination. And the other events there were a lot of them were weight based. There was one where you just had to hit a bag. There was a bag in the middle, and you just basically it was like a lineman drill almost, right? You just had to hit it with your shoulder and drive the other one back. Mm-hmm. And Danny's got about 50 pounds on me, so I was like hoping, I hope it's something that I can use my athleticism and speed. And sure enough, I lucked out and we got ball brawl. And as soon as it landed on, I was like, thank God, because I knew if I just get to that ball first, it's over, right? It's an absolute wrap. So I lucked out on that end. So yeah, it felt really good. Deep sigh of relief, man, when that gauge landed on ball brawl, man. I exhaled deep. So
you kicked his ass, Chris D said.
Yeah.
Adam, what the F happened with that Joe girl on Gauntlet 2?
Oh, yeah, she lost her mind.
Really?
Man, you're taking me way back. Gauntlet 2, that was in Tobago. Joe was she was in her own head. It was so long ago. I don't want to misspeak or say anything that didn't happen. She basically wasn't able to be there anymore. Another thing that's underestimated. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. And another thing that people underestimate is the kind of mental toll it takes to be there for that long and away from everybody, and the stress of constantly worrying about being eliminated, and the politics that gets played, and people don't really like you, and people are talking about you behind your back, and you're having a conversation, and the cameras go rushing into the other room, and you got to worry, are they talking about me? There's a lot of that going on, and so it takes some stamina. It takes some emotional stamina to be there, and you see people quit all the time. Alex on the Gauntlet 3 quit. He didn't want to be there. He basically threw the elimination. Joe, sometimes people, Tyree, he left in the middle of Gauntlet 3. It happens. A lot of times people they don't want to admit that it's happening, but you see it in their performance. You see them in, they'll volunteer to go in or like just kind of throw in the towel. And that's what happened.
Chris D with another question. Adam, why did the Vets team dislike Coral so much on Gauntlet 3? And do you think it was a mistake focusing on throwing missions to get rid of your girls that season and not Eric, who lost you guys the final?
Yeah, but hindsight's 2020. I think we had a strategy going in. We knew the final was going to be a marathon. Yes, and it was selfish, no doubt. Looking back on it, I mean, no guy wanted, because, like I mentioned before, the eliminations, a lot of them were size based. And Eric at the time was probably 300 plus pounds, so nobody wanted to go. One of them, they just tied a rope to your ankle and a rope to the other guy's ankle, and you had to drag him to the other end of the gauntlet. Now, nobody wants to do that with Eric, right? So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of the guys being selfish and saying, "Hey, I don't want to compete against this guy." So we picked off the girls who we thought wouldn't be able to to make it from a stamina standpoint through a marathon. I still think we were right. I still think that a lot of those girls would have been gassed, but as it turns out, it didn't matter anyway, right? Because you're only as strong as your weakest link, and if we were going to have Eric there, we were going to have to move at a slower pace. I still don't think we did the right thing by dragging him along and forcing him, and eventually forcing him to pass out. We obviously that was the wrong move. We should have gone slower, but any one of those girls could have gone the same speed if we had just jogged it. So yeah, I mean, it was an error in strategy for sure, but at the time, we were doing what we thought was going to help us win. So,
last question of the night, guys. Adam, what was your favorite challenge to be on?
Oh, it's a great oof. Even though it ended, and like I said, it was really tough the way it ended on Rivals. I gotta say Rivals, man, because I have a newfound appreciation for CT, and he was, in as much as I did honor my own feelings at the time about not wanting to be too outspoken about our friendship, I do respect him, and it helped me garner a newfound friendship with him, as well as just the overall experience was Costa Rica, Buenos Aires, when we went down there, amazing experiences. Even though, Jen says she soured on it, I had a great time with her and, fooling around there and just having a nice little romance. It was just a pleasant experience at the time. And I had my friends there. I had Johnny there. I had Evan there. Kenny was there. So overall, I think the challenges were fun. So overall, I'd have to say that one. I mean, Gauntlet 3 was also a lot of fun. And Gauntlet 3, we actually got to use our AirPods. I mean, our iPods and stuff. So that's a close second, Gauntlet 3. But nah, I'd have to say Rivals. But one caveat though to that is that Battle of the Sexes 2, the very first one I went on, I wasn't there very long, but I will say that was back when the challenges were more fun and less physical, and that I'm really excited for. I think the OG challenge is going to get back more to that, and while eliminations I guess are necessary because it adds a certain drama to the whole experience,
right? Like,
having fun challenges is just a different vibe. Like when you're just melting a ball of ice, or like there was a snake pit and we had to go pick poker chips out of a snake pit, things like that kind of make the experience a little bit more, it's just different. I don't know about more fun or less fun. It's just different. So I look forward to doing challenges in the future if possible, but in particular having more fun events like that on them.
Well, hey man, I think I speak for behalf of everybody. We would love to see you on another challenge, whether that's the legit challenge, the OG challenge. Either way, you have fans, man. You definitely have fans, and man, I appreciate you coming on tonight, Adam. I know that we'll stay in contact. I would love to pick your brain even more with sports moving forward into this 2021 year.
Great,
truly appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Buzz. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. And anytime you want me on, just give me a holler. You have my number.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Guys, that is Adam King from Real World Paris and all the 5 seasons of challenges. Most recent was Rivals with CT. Thank you, Adam, for coming on, and we'll catch you again soon, my man.
All right.
Guys, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Please, if you want to watch this later, we will be sharing it everywhere on YouTube and on Instagram and on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. This is The Buzz. We'll catch you soon. Thank you.